Hello! Welcome back to episode 3 of Building a Tiki Room. We are almost ready to start building, but before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of design work in VR. All right, so before we start slapping bamboo on the wall, we need to get an idea of what this thing looks like in the computer. And there's a few reasons that this is a good idea. First of all, it makes sure that we don't over-order on material, right? We just order what we need. Most importantly is it lets us preview sight lines. Now, I could draw a pretty convincing 2D floor plan that looks great on paper and doesn't work in real life for lots of reasons. But if I can walk around in it in VR, I know it works before I build it. So to get started, we're going into Tilt Brush. Now, Tilt Brush, if you're not familiar with it, it's a virtual reality drawing, painting, and sculpting app. We're using it in a pretty low-tech way just to get an idea of the room dimensions and just to have a spatial place in which to sketch. And what I like about it is that in Tilt Brush, we can go straight from outlining the room dimensions to previewing what it looks like with tables, chairs, plants, shelves, and see exactly what our additions are going to look like in that space. And this is where it gets exciting, because this is where the prototyping has already paid off. I mentioned sight lines, right? So sight lines are important. You know, what can you see from any particular space? But in a themed attraction or entertainment space, the most important part of sight lines is the reveal. A reveal is your first impression when you enter a new space. This could be inside, outside, coming out of a tunnel, going around a corner. Theme park dark rides are a great example of reveals. Every corner is a new reveal. It's a new scene or something that you have to take in. So one of the things that we noticed right off the bat is that this room has a lousy reveal. You can stand at the doorway, you see the back side of a sink counter, and then you can see everything in the room, like right from the doorway. So the point of this is to design the space in a way that encourages exploration. What became immediately clear is that by adding an additional wall and an extra bar counter, we can take this from one reveal moment that's kind of lousy to 3, or 4 if you count the vantage point behind the bar. And we can get a really rough version of what that looks like in Tilt Brush. So first, let's imagine that here we have a wall. Maybe it's a quick service counter. Maybe it's a Surf Shack window. Now we have to turn left to actually enter the Tiki Lounge. And from there, we get a view of the bar that we haven't seen before. If we step over to the bar, well, now we can see the contents of the shelves on the back side of the service window. So now that we know how it feels spatially, we can work on how it looks. And to do that, we're going to bring it into Unity. So this is our Tilt Brush sketch. You can see there's the air duct ceiling drop right there. We have the higher section of the ceiling there. We have our entry and our service counter there. We have our bar top with a fish tank in it, and this should be very close to accurate. I should also mention I used Google Poly to import this Tilt Brush sketch, and Poly's going to be going offline soon, so wah, wah. All right, so now what we can do is actually start replacing these walls and these sketches here with actual geometry. So you can see from the hallway, the viewpoint coming in is sort of blocked here, right? So these are our sight lines that we're talking about. You can't get a full view into the space without actually stepping in. For the surfboard here, I found a surfboard for sale on eBay, and I grabbed the texture off of it. And, you know, you never know. We might even end up using that same surfboard off of eBay. Over here, we have a tiki mask on the wall. Just the most beautiful, handcrafted mask. And this is where we get into kind of experimenting with blending of themes. We have surfing, tiki, Polynesian, and pirate. And what I want to do is to try to blend all of these together. Now there are places that have done this. Trader Sam's actually does this. They have pirate ship elements, they have Polynesian elements, they have a giant counter surfboard, and mixing all these things together can work. But the question I had was, can I do it in a room this size? And one of the things I got out of this experiment was that, yeah, I think that's possible. All right, so this gives us a really crude idea of what the materials look like. The next thing we can do is actually turn on some lighting and get an idea of what the lighting will look like in here. So once we light it up, it looks like this. And all of a sudden it's way more interesting. It's sunshiny, it's hot, you're thirsty, you step up to the Surf Shack counter. It's a pleasant place to be. But there's mystery over here. So let's go down this hole and check out the mystery. Ooh. Look at all this mystery. Okay. What about over here? Let's step over this way. We've got piratey stuff, artifacts. Just a lot of beautiful history right there. The last thing to do will be to add some props here. And so let's put a couple of plants in. We'll put a plant right over here. Beautiful. Look at that. Lovely, lovely. We'll add a few more and boom, look at that. Huh? Now we're looking pretty good. So what I got out of this was I learned that I can create a space that encourages exploration, and I can do it in a room that's this size. I also came up with some ideas on how to handle the varied ceiling height and how to turn that into a feature and not something that kind of looks weird. And I learned that I can blend surfing and Polynesian and pirate all within the same space. So thank you for watching. I'm very excited to start building this thing. See you next time.